When I look at the world around me, sometimes it looks like everyone is totally insane. You know, when everyone around you looks insane, it's maybe time to sort of introspect a little bit, look at yourself, because it is kind of way more likely that I am insane than that the entire world is insane. But somehow, the more that I think about this, the more I still kind of feel like I'm right. And if you're here still watching me, I'm going to assume you're kind of down to like hear my particular variety of insanity, so we can just go from there. And the thing I kind of can't get over is, why do we value hard work so much? You know, in the larger culture, that this is a virtue, let's sort of just assume that, but I sort of just think it's completely nuts. Because here's the thing, as far as I can tell, the single most valuable resource in the known universe is consciousness, sort of awareness. And the fact that you are this living, conscious being is a miracle, basically. And you only have so long to be this conscious being. So, like, basically, the time that you spend being conscious is infinitely valuable to me, like in my mind. So, and the definition of work, and especially hard work, is that you're doing something with your conscious time that you don't enjoy. If you enjoy doing something, we don't really look at that as work the same way we look at doing unpleasant tasks as work. So effectively, valuing hard work to me seems like valuing the squandering of the universe's most precious resource. You know, some people may argue that we're not really valuing hard work as much as we're valuing productivity, but I disagree with that. In most jobs, if you act with high productivity, you're actually going to be punished for it, not valued for it. So, for example, if you concentrate really hard at work and get a ton of work done in 20 hours of the week, your employer is not going to give you the remaining 20 hours off. And if you have some coworkers who are less productive, who didn't concentrate so hard, they're still going to work the same 40 hours as you did. And so you will all be expected to work 40 hours a week, regardless of your output. And so people really have no incentive to be efficient with their productivity, because they're going to be trapped in the office for 40 hours a week, no matter what. This is into something which I think is kind of actually deeply sick, which is the idea that a company feels like they have a right to buy your time. To me, that's like someone saying that they have the right to buy your life energy, or, someone can get like 5% of your soul or something. I think an individual's conscious time is something that only they have the right to decide how to use. And the completely insane part of this is there's no reason to be buying people's time. It actually creates inefficiency, because we could just be buying people's output, because theoretically that's what you want. And, historically, back in the day, in like the Middle Ages and stuff, this is how it worked. If you went to like buy some shoes from a cobbler or something, it was, completely up to the cobbler how he wanted to parcel out his time to make those shoes. And this concept that someone else can own someone else's time, or that a paid employee can commit time theft from their employer, is a relatively recent invention. And this kind of value of hard work goes so deep that even the people most punished by it end up supporting it. People who kind of fanboy out on someone like Elon Musk, and they will try to justify, why does he deserve to have so much more money than the average person? And the usual justification is, oh, he worked really hard for that money. But that's actually like kind of nuts. And to me, it's actually a weirdly anti-capitalist mindset, actually. And a lot of these people think of themselves as capitalists, so it's really bizarre. Here's the thing. Theoretically, capitalism at its best is supposed to reward the people who are producing the highest value things for society. Basically, if you produce something of high value, the market's going to value it, you're going to get more money for it, and so the people who make the most valuable things get the most money. And the fact that societally we instinctively argue that someone deserves to have rewards because they worked hard, rather than they deserve to have rewards because they made things that were valuable to other people, I mean, that's weird. And the metric I would be interested in using with someone like Elon Musk is the question, has he produced enough value for society to earn the amount of money that he has? And, if he hasn't produced enough value for society, we really need to look at why that is, because it implies there's a particular area of our capitalism that's not functioning correctly, or it must be broken, if you assume that capitalism is rewarding high-value work. And so, for example, a society that allows for unpunished robbery to exist will actually give value to people who are removing value from society, right? And so, that's why theoretically we don't allow robbery. But if you have a capitalist system where the people who are getting rich are not the people who are producing the most value for society, then maybe you actually don't have a capitalist system. Maybe you actually have something closer to a robber baron state. And so, the question of what value has Elon Musk generated for society to be as rich as he is a deeply relevant question. Whereas the question of how much work did it take him to get there is completely trivial. And I think this mindset of just valuing hard work because it's hard work, I believe it's kind of based in a sort of, it was based in many things, but one of the things it's based in is a kind of cultural resistance to empathy. Because the thing about generating value to society is you have to understand what's valuable to other people, and you have to understand what matters to your fellow humans, what's going to improve their lives, what's going to make their lives worse, kind of things of that nature. The real fantasy of, oh, I can get rich off of doing quote unquote hard work is like, you don't have to deal with other people. It's kind of this idea that if I sacrifice enough of my own consciousness, if I sacrifice enough of my own time spent living, I should deserve to have financial power and possibly even the power to be able to coerce other people to do what I want. And I think that is a really busted way to organize a society. And, I'm not saying that in an ideal world, people would never work hard or anything like that. I'm just saying this kind of mindless and pedantic value of hard work is a sort of deep toxic thorn in the side of our society. And it's a value that prevents us from creating a more fair or more just society. And to me, when I talk about, a quote unquote just society, what I'm really imagining is sort of two basic principles. And that is basically, one is that consciousness and the time spent conscious is the most valuable resource in the known universe. So this is something that we should be very precious with. And then a just society will be one that allows each individual to have as much control and agency over how they spend their conscious time. So it'll be a society that allows people to choose how they do what they want to do. Basically, an ideal society is one where as many people as possible get to spend as much time as possible doing what they want to do. And a less just society is one where particular individuals have the power to coerce other individuals into doing things that they don't want to do. And I will tell you, the latter one seems a lot closer to our current society than the former, in my opinion. And and what gets to me about this whole thing is that we are so far from this. We are so far from this. Like, we don't value people's consciousness. We don't value people's time. In fact, we are the direct opposite of that. We value people wasting their consciousness. We value people sacrificing their awareness and time to doing things that they hate. To me, that is just completely insane. And how are we ever supposed to even be moving in the right direction if our values are literally the opposite of what seems to be humane? Anyway, so that's kind of where I'm at with this whole train of thought. But I don't know, like, am I just totally crazy? Because I would love to hear other people's opinions on this, because the entire world, if you have this particular value, or if you share this value that consciousness and the time spent conscious is really valuable, society just seems like literally backwards. And I would love to think of ways to try to improve our kind of present situation, and yet it's just so hard because I feel like most of the people's deep internalized values are basically diametrically opposed to my own. So anyway, I'd love to hear anyone's thoughts on this. And that's all I got. So bye. Have a nice day.